Happy Thanksgiving. If we don't tell you prior to actual Thanksgiving, it's the week. Everybody's probably sitting at home, so there's not any excuse for you not to be watching, but we're not mad at you if you're not. How's it going, Flozell?
It's all right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And they have an excuse to watch us, and they should, because
Oh,
some people have days off today, and if they don't, they have a half day. And if they do have a full day, they can watch us on late tonight. They have all day tomorrow, beside the football games. They got all day Friday, besides Black Friday shopping, Saturday, and so forth. So watch us.
hey, I talked to somebody who's like, man, I can't do the live, but I always watch the episodes. I was like, that's what we want, man.
Yeah, that's all we want.
Um, would you got big plans for Thanksgiving, turkeys and stuff like that?
That's the usual turkey stuff. Nothing really special.
So we didn't even talk about this before, but so before we get to that, I mean, obviously Cowboys play the Commanders now, but you played on Thanksgiving. How was that?
Thanksgiving, I love the Thanksgiving game because
Yeah.
when I played, there was only two teams that are required to play on Thursday, Thanksgiving, before the NFL has started this. Uh, at the beginning of the season, they started all this Thursday playing. Before there wasn't any Thursday play, it was only one Thursday night game, and it was the Cowboys in Detroit and whoever played them. So four teams total. That was all that was playing when I was playing. But you know, we didn't really. I thought about Thanksgiving because of the family. People from Chicago come down and have Thanksgiving festivities, and they come watch the game and all that great stuff, and stay about another day or two on Saturday out.
Yeah. Go home. You ain't
They
gotta go home,
take
but you
over,
can't stay here.
yeah, take over your whole house. But
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved the family coming down and doing a traditional Thanksgiving thing because that was one of the things I missed from when I used to be a child and growing up. But it's just one of the traditions that I like. And as for playing on that day, most players thought of it as a day off because really Thursdays people don't realize the wear and tear that's on their body.
Yeah.
And think about the Dallas Cowboys. They went to Carolina, a 3 hour plane ride, and they came back probably about 1 or 2 a.m. Next day, they had to be in the building. They won't review the film for Carolina. They're going to go straight to Washington. So they're going to
Yeah.
have a walkthrough on Monday. They're going to have a walkthrough on Tuesday, and Wednesday they're going to be in a hotel. So today, what is it, 9/17? Yeah, they'll probably be in there to about 1:30, 2 o'clock. They have meetings about right now. They're gonna have a walkthrough about 11 to about 12:30, 12:45. How do I know this? It's the same schedule.
Yeah. Always
Then,
been
yeah, then they're
all the
gonna
years
review
you
the
were there, that's
film.
what they did.
Exactly. They're gonna review the film. Then all the guys go, just chilling with their families and everything. Got to be in a hotel about 7 p.m. Get up tomorrow and go to the game. So, but it was one small benefit of that is that we on Friday you come and review the film, and he gave you the rest of Friday off, Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday is usually a walkthrough, and then you got Tuesday off, and then we come back Wednesday for the next whoever the next opponent is. I mean, people are like, well, at least you get a bonus and all other stuff. I mean, yeah, that's a little bonus, but Thursday at the 10th, 12th game of the season is a little rough, but hey, just suck it up and do what you got to do.
Yeah, especially when it's 3 or 4 days later. You played on Saturday, and now you're coming straight back and playing on Thursday. I mean, I know they do that during the regular season, but
Right
um,
now they do, so they probably get adapted, but from back in the day, it was very difficult. Well, it's difficult now, I bet. I mean, it doesn't look like it on TV. They flying around, flying and getting touchdown, hitting and stuff. And 4 days earlier, 3.5 days earlier, they were doing the same thing. But I guarantee you, there's a lot of grunting in that locker room from like getting up like, oh, like that, cold pools, ice baths, and ice bags everywhere before and after the game. So yeah, you're paying a price for it.
and I think that's where you get into the professional athlete. I mean,
Professional, yes.
professional athlete. And I think that gets lost a few times in what they are. So. I mean,
Exactly.
I appreciate you telling us about it. So we got to talk a little crap to Vaughn right now. Did you want to start that with him?
I had posted something on his little page about Alcorn, and then a couple of his other little Alcorn buddies got on there talking about Michigan State losing by 50 points a game and all other crap. But see, stick to the subject, man. We're talking about MSU and Alcorn. Most of those guys have never been on a plane before to go up to East Lansing, so I'm sure that ass whooping was an enjoyment to them. So, so they
81-49.
81-49, and they laid up off of them at the end of the game. But hey, I'm sure it was an experience. I mean, small black college playing a big time basketball program. I'm sure the experience was pretty good. Not talking about them, but it's just the way it is, and got something to look forward to. I'm like, hey, you do what you got to do, play basketball as long as you have fun.
Yep. So obviously it was a good day at Michigan State. A good weekend. Michigan State beat Indiana 24-21. That's kind of a thank goodness. Their next opponents. Oh, who's their next opponent?
Penn State this Friday.
Yeah, Penn State. Yeah, that man. Good luck, guys. I know that's as Flozell has said time and time again. All the pieces are there. It's just a matter of putting them together and putting them into the game.
Exactly. So that fans or anything to say, like, oh, it's just Indiana. Any win is a good win. I don't care if you're number one team in the country and you played UT, Texas, Arlington, and you're going to beat them, but a win is a win, and especially with the Michigan State football program right now, any win is going to be beneficial because it's been a rough season for the whole organization when it comes to the players, the coaches, and the staff. So, hey, they'll take the win, we'll take the win, and hey, you won't even remember who they played, but you remember the win. Won. So it's all about the win. So hopefully, they got Penn State in Detroit. It's going to be not at the stadium. It's not going to be in East Lansing. It's not going to be in, I think it's called Happy Valley.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania. They're going to be in Detroit, Ford Field, and hopefully these guys step up. This is their last game. A lot of guys, last time playing football ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Do you remember your last game?
I remember my last game. We played the Washington Huskies in Honolulu.
Oh wow,
Hawaii.
Oh, the bowl. Oh, you were at a bowl game.
It was a bowl game.
Yeah.
And at that time, I knew I was going to be a draft pick. I knew I was going to be a draft pick. I didn't know where I was going to be, but I knew it was going to be a draft pick, whether it was going to be low or high. But the feeling is kind of surreal that you're looking at the fans, looking at your family in the stands and all that stuff, and like, this is the last time that I'm going to be playing college football. And it's kind of a sad moment. It's like everything you put in this all through high school and all in college and everything, the last 4 years, you're just like, man, this is the last play. This is the last quarter, this third quarter, one more quarter, and the coach had took me out about 3 minutes left in the game, and then you're hugging everybody and all that. I don't cry. No tears coming from my eyes.
You ain't getting me, man. You ain't getting me.
Yeah, you don't get me. But I was a little choked up and with that feeling about it being our last game, and that's how come I remember it.
Yeah.
I don't remember a lot of games and stuff, probably bits and pieces of quarters here and there, but that game I do remember. I mean, we lost, but just the memory of that being the last game is definitely on my mind, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah. So we're going to go do some Michigan State stuff. But first, I thought it was interesting. Tom Brady was on a podcast and bet his Super Bowl ring, although it's not really a fulfillable thing. And C.J. Stroud said, man, I'm not taking your ring. But it's not as if Stroud could give Tom Brady his youth and everything else. But I thought it's a great story that the arguments go. I wish they would have, wagered something of actual wager that could have been fulfilled by both. But I thought that was interesting, him wagering his Super Bowl ring, or in theory, gambling his Super Bowl ring. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. He gambled it?
So him and CJ Stroud were sitting there talking about, Michigan and Ohio State playing this week. And Tom Brady basically told CJ Stroud, "Hey, I'm the Michigan will win. I'll bet my Super Bowl ring."
Oh.
But obviously the bet was he would bet his Super Bowl ring, but CJ Stroud would have to if Michigan won, CJ Stroud would have to give him his youth and agility and 40 time and all, which,
Oh.
in other words, it would be the deal with the devil. That's not, unless Tom
Yeah.
Brady's had some help in his life. Maybe he's trying to swap souls for all I know.
Yeah, he did swap a lot of souls and syringes.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
Yeah, gonna
Damn
pump that
it,
stuff in your
man.
veins. Pump it in your veins, man. Make you feel good. Hey.
And speaking of Michigan, they have fired their linebackers coach. I don't really care about saying his name. I don't really know that it makes that much of a difference. To me, it looks like they have created a fall guy. And it says that he was refusing to cooperate and all those other things. So, but it makes me, and again, I don't know facts. I wasn't in the room. I think it's impossible that over the years Harbaugh didn't know. But I'm not making any assumptions. I guess I am making assumptions because that's what it looks like. It looks like, hey man, don't say anything and take the fall. The curious part to me is, if Harbaugh does go to the NFL, does this guy go with him? Is it like, hey, dude, I'll take you with me if I go to the NFL?
No, I don't think it came to that much of like Harbaugh, if you go to the NFL, you take me. I believe it was a buyout. I believe they have to find somebody who's willing and going to take the fall. So, to me, I just guessing that they paid him off.
Yeah.
That's not going to come in like, hey, give me $50,000. I say I did it type stuff. No, I would say it's like a meal or two that they probably gave him to be the fall guy.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. That's what happened when stuff goes like that. You got to find the fall guy. And everybody's looking for the fall guy. So now everything's settled and everything's all great that they found their fall guy and he's fired. And, now in another 3 weeks, next month when they're playing in the playoff, nobody's going to really even be thinking about this. Maybe some commentators might mention it for 5 or 6 seconds, and that's going to blow off, and nobody's ever going to mention this again because they definitely found their fall guy. So that's how the situation goes when it comes to bitch again.
All right. So this week's games, obviously, because it's set to my favorites in my deal, the Bears-Lions. Bears look good. They looked really good until they didn't.
Yeah, that was a tragedy because towards the end of the game, I had switched restaurants.
Yeah.
I was at a restaurant, and then I was going to travel to get like the middle of the fourth quarter. They were leading by what? At the end of the third,
23-10. It was 2 scores.
Yeah, something like the 2 scores, and I get to there like, what?
Yep.
What happened?
And then it went to hell in a handbag.
Game. And for one of the very few times for this season, you can say it wasn't the quarterback's fault. It wasn't Fields' fault. It was definitely coaching. You let those guys come back. And we've been talking about Detroit the whole year.
Oh, you took Detroit. Well,
the whole podcast.
Yeah, you took Detroit.
I told you about Dan Campbell. And I didn't even think that the Bears were going to be anywhere to be winning this game, to tell you the truth. But they were winning, and they just let it go. You can't stop against teams like this. They're going to keep pounding and pounding. Once you start smiling on the sideline and shaking hands and ooh, woo, woo, all this other stuff, and there's still 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, that's when they come and get you. And that's what happened to the Chicago Bears.
And it was like a minute something. It was like 76 seconds that they scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a failure on defense. And then they turned around, Bears had the ball. Bears were doing great running out the clock, but obviously 26-31, that's ridiculous.
Well, they got the touchdown towards the end, but it didn't start at the end. That started breaking down in the beginning of the fourth quarter. That's where the breakdown started. So the coaches couldn't correct it. They couldn't do anything. They playing soft. Hopefully, the playing like, hey, maybe hopefully if something happened where we get some type of defense or something that can slow these guys down so we can go to the end of the game and win the game. And that just didn't happen. So
Yeah.
it's the doggone coach's fault for not taking chances and playing like they did the first half so to be able to sustain the win.
Yep. Ravens took out the Bengals. Did I hear Joe Burrow's out?
Yeah, Joe Burrow's out for the season. He hurt his little
Oh.
finger.
All right. Well, Bengals don't get excited at all. Y'all are pretty much done. That was about your
Yeah,
only deal.
yeah, they pretty much done. I don't know. Maybe, they might try for another 2 games, and if they win another 2 games, they're still in the playoffs,
Yeah.
possibly. But if they don't win the next 2 games, those guys are just going to be taking a back seat, and they're just going to go on and cruise back in.
Who's their backup quarterback?
I have no idea. You know what? Do you remember back in the day when you used to know the
Yeah.
backup
Oh, now they're all
quarterbacks?
no names.
I mean, they're like guys that are. I mean, I applaud to them. They made the team. It's
Yeah.
great that you made the team. You beat out vets that
Yeah.
could have taken that job for a minimum pay, and you got undrafted free agents making the second string quarterback, and that's a very very important position because quarterbacks don't last the whole season there. They're going to miss about at least 2 games, so the
Yeah.
second string quarterback has to be able to go down and try to get a win. It's very important. So these
Yeah.
guys, I have no idea who's the backup quarterback for Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I don't know either. So, speaking of look good until they didn't, the Carolina Panthers actually looked pretty good until they didn't.
Until they didn't. They probably did the same thing that the Bears did, and plus
Yeah.
they want to have 1 or 2 wins this year. And then, everybody plays good when they play the Dallas Cowboys. You always see the best of the team when you play the Dallas Cowboys, but usually when those teams like that are 1 win, 2 win, they'll squeeze it out to about the middle of the third quarter, and after that, they just run out of gas. And then teams like the Cowboys, even though they are the Cowboys, they're a
Yeah.
very, very good team. They're going to keep pounding them, pounding them, pounding them until you won't have any air in them.
Yeah. But I'm not mad at you, Panthers. Keep losing. We got your number 1 overall draft pick, so keep losing. That one is not going to hurt my feelings.
Yes,
Matter
yeah,
of
well,
fact, we'll do that just out of cure. They play the come on Titans. I need the Tennessee Titans to beat the Carolina Panthers this week.
oh man,
Um,
Tennessee Titans, we need them to do something because we need us Bears fans. We need to get that doggone pick.
yeah. Browns Steelers. Browns pulled out. That was a close game, 10-13. Packers came out on top.
Let's go back to Pittsburgh, and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns has, I believe, he's an undrafted backup quarterback because Watson is out of the season. He just
He's
had
done.
shoulder surgery or arm surgery or something like that. He's
Yeah.
out for the season, and this guy come in and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers with a very very good defense,
Yeah.
very very extremely good defense, and Pittsburgh Steelers just can't produce offensively. So they satisfied that with the firing of Canada a couple of days ago. Mike Tomlin said, "Hey, he's just not producing, and you just need to go." I mean, I felt like he should have fired him 3-4 games ago because they're only averaging 16 points a game, and that's probably 30th in the league. And they're not probably got 2 or 3 touchdowns in the last 2 or 3 games. That's not good. You
Yeah.
need to win in this league. You need at least 3 touchdowns with the field goal. That's 21 points. You got to have at least 21 points to be able to win in this league. And if you score in 6 and 3 field goals, 9 points, or a touchdown and a field goal, 10 points. I mean, they were winning like that. It's only so many games you're going to win. So
Yeah.
you just gotta move on and keep on going.
Yeah. Packers came out on top of the Chargers. What's his name? The running back went out again. I think he's probably done.
Aaron Jones, they said they're hyperextended MCL. This guy just having a bad year, injury prone, hasn't been in the lineup, in and out, injuries, this and that. And the second string running back, Dylan, he's a guy that's been producing a lot of stuff for Aaron Jones the last couple of years, and he hasn't been doing too much. So I'm sure that's affecting the quarterback love from doing the things he need to do. And I'm definitely surprised at the way the Chargers are playing because they were supposed to be
Oh yeah.
AFC West, playoff caliber, and they're going in the opposite direction.
Nope.
So look for this head coach for the Chargers to be out this season. So they're gonna be looking for somebody else, and hopefully they get Harbaugh instead of the Bears.
Yeah. Texans over the Cardinals. Yep. 16-21. That's pretty awesome. Man,
Yeah, the
CJ
Texans.
Stroud.
I mean that Stroud is playing like he's a is it Stroud or which one?
Yeah. CJ
Yes.
Stroud.
Yeah, Stroud. He's playing like he's been in the league 2 or 3 years already,
Yeah, they're
and he's just a
talking
rookie.
they're talking not just rookie of the year, but MVP for him right now.
Yeah, they're
I
going
know that's a huge
MVP.
conversation.
Yeah, no,
Um,
the Texans have been a doormat to the team, doormat to the NFL the last couple of years, and now they're playoff caliber behind this
yep.
guy. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to pull it off towards the end of the season.
I always think that's funny because he's the second pick, not the first pick. First pick's the Carolina Panthers quarterback. Second pick, C.J. Stroud. I always think that's interesting.
I mean,
You
people
think
go first
Carolina's
pick.
going, damn, we should have taken Stroud.
Well, it don't matter. You just fit for whatever quarterback that you see. That this type of offense we're going to run, this type of we need. First pick, fifth pick, 10th pick. It doesn't matter. I mean, you got to pick the guy that best suits your team. So,
I'm
hey,
going to
that's all
say
you
that
got.
incorrectly. As a Chicago Bears fan for Mitchell Trubisky, what were y'all thinking?
Ugh.
The people that you passed up for some
Patrick Mahomes,
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Ridiculous.
I don't. You know what? I don't even remember that draft like that. I just remember
They
them picking him.
traded up to get him.
I know, and it's very unfortunate that they did that. I mean, I don't know. Trubinsky is from what school is he from?
I don't
Duke
know. I have
or
no
North
idea.
Carolina?
At this point, I have
North Carolina.
done my best to wipe that whole thing out of my head. It just
But I don't know what did they see in this guy. He played one. He started 1 year in North Carolina. Had a hell of a year.
yeah.
I don't think he
But you
started
could have
as.
gotten him. You could have gotten him in round 3. Nobody was
That's what they
looking
was.
at Mitchell Trubisky.
I don't see what they said. Look, this guy played 1 year of college football, and North Carolina Tar Heels, ACC. That's a tough conference. But he only started 1 year. He was on the bench freshman, sophomore, junior year. How are you going to take a guy in the first round that only played 1 year? He hasn't seen anything.
Yeah.
So that's no way. That's bad, extremely bad decision on the Chicago Bears to be picking on that guy. Oh,
Yeah, that hurt my. I was hyped up because that was John Fox back then. I thought, all right, John Fox is figured something. John Fox is a great coach.
dang,
He
that was that
sees
long
something.
ago?
Yeah, he sees
He's-
something in this guy, and this is the guy of his future. And there was a year, and I think you and I talked about this, and I know we talked about it with when Vaughn and Mafia were here, but it looked like the year that the Kansas City became our head coach. They were out. He was like, man, just go out there and have some fun. That whole year looked like it was just, and they did well. Besides the double doink that kept us out of the playoffs against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mhm.
He doinked 3 field goals in that game, and the last
Oh,
one was the
yeah.
double doink, the one where it hit the top and then it hit the bottom and then went out.
Yes, I
Um,
remember that one.
But that was back when you had the defensive Khalil Mack running for touchdowns. I mean, it was just like, y'all go out there, y'all have a good time. We'll go back to it next year. We'll get us some stuff and we'll go. But that was the year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, and we were not that I did not want to go to the Super Bowl because I knew whoever was there we were gonna get whooped. But yeah. Man, that son of a. So we'll
That's
go with the
definitely,
next one.
yeah.
Uh,
That was. Oh, I don't get it. I don't
I
get it.
mean,
I don't see. Look, these organizations. I think we talked about this one time. If it wasn't you or somebody else, I said I don't understand how these little 5'6", 5'7", 140, 150 pound white man making decisions on who's the best player.
yeah, that's
I'm like, dude, you never played football your whole entire life. And I don't care how old you are, or what you've seen, or what the scouts told you, or
yeah,
what the other little dude has told you from what he's seen scouting this guy. You trying to tell me that you think that this guy is going to be who you think he's going to be just by you looking at him, or these analytic reports and all this other stuff? No, man. I don't understand why an assistant to Jerry or whoever the guy's name to Chicago Bears or offensive line coach, they like hire their best player.
yeah,
Like, I mean, the guy could be a retired player, maybe 50 years old. He played 10, 12 years, 60 years old. Tell me, what do you think about this guy? So
yeah,
that's like, look, let's just say we're gonna make up something. Even Mitch, let's just say something crazy. Even Mitch Trubinsky. Say this is 10 years from now. Mitch Trubinsky is 39, 40 years old. He has some wars on him. He has
yeah.
some wars. He's chilling. Maybe he's a commentator. So somebody who was after offensive coordinator or head coach for the Bears, hey Mitch, I need you to come here for about 2 or 3 times a week for about 3 or 4 months from January to draft day or to June. Sit in a couple of mini camps. Tell me who you think. We're looking at this guy. We want you to sit in the meeting room and tell us what you think about this guy. They don't do that.
Ed Too Tall Jones. I'm telling you. I was having breakfast the day the draft was going on. I was in Atlanta and I was sitting there having breakfast and Ed came downstairs. We were in like this little small hotel in Atlanta. We were doing one of the last Legend show. And Ed comes down, I can sit. I'm like, yeah, you can sit with me. We sitting there talking. He's like, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm watching the draft, or I'm seeing who got picked last night." And Ed looks over at me and goes, "It was a big ass mistake." And I was like, well, "What do you mean? Tell me what you mean, Ed." And he started naming players. And in the back of my head, I'm sitting here going, "Okay, I'm paying attention because you're talking about guys that didn't go immediately that should have gone." He said it should have gone like this. So for the next year and the year after that, I kind of, took that and listened to it. And damned if it wasn't a mistake. And you're sitting there hearing him, the players that he's talking about, the defensive players, this guy should go first, this guy should go second, this guy should go third. And the people that he was listing did not go in any of those positions. And they've been very successful in the NFL now. That
I
is the
bet you did.
ridiculous thing.
And I bet you, I'm thinking, I bet you I know what draft you're thinking about. It's when the Cowboys had drafted that Michigan defensive lineman.
It was the year that Chubbs was in the draft. I know that.
I don't know all that.
Yeah. I just remember because he was like, no, 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 this should happen. This should go here. This should go here. And I couldn't remember now. I'd have to sit down and look at the draft again to go
Taco.
through it. Oh, Taco Charlton.
That's the year the Cowboys took Taco Charlton in the first round. And I bet you that's who he was talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, I always talk about bitching and stuff like that, but I do respect the players that come out of the program. And when they were selecting him, I looked at the highlight tape. He can tell you about defensive linemen. As an offensive lineman, I can tell you about defensive lineman, offensive lineman, vice versa for Ed. I looked at the highlight tape and they're taking this guy in the first round. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Why? Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Yeah.
I'm like, did you like pump the gas and the gas spilled on your hands and you were wiping your eyes and you went on and said, hey, let's take him?
See, I always thought the team should do like a former player committee. Get guys like you, get guys like, Jason Witten, like Ed Too Tall Jones, like, Hell, Roger Star, like anybody, because the I think one of the big differences nowadays is there are players that really aren't football fans. They played football because they played football. And they got really good at it, and they realized, hey, I can make a lot of money doing this, and that's what carried them through playing football. But I know quite a few ex-football players that don't even watch football. They could care less about watching football. But you have guys like Ed and you who sit there and like remind me not to insult anybody, but remind me a lot of my grandfather. My grandfather could look at a guy in the NFL and tell you what high school he went to. You know, he was that kind of mind. I mean, he lived in West Texas. There wasn't a lot to do. He worked in oil fields and lived in West Texas. But he used to get that newspaper with all the national high school rankings of players. And he'd be and sit there and go, this guy ain't going to go anywhere. This guy ain't going to go anywhere. You know, and when they went to college, he would basically say, well, they don't translate to the NFL. But then when you would see guys in the NFL, you know, he could sit there and tell you, oh, yeah, this kid went to high school. I remember he did this, and then he went to this college, and, you know, the coaching there was bad for it. And Ed reminds me a lot of that. Ed reminds me a lot of having a true football mind who actually loves football, who watches it just because it's football. I think Ed would watch any football game if you gave him the opportunity. But nowadays, I don't think a lot of the younger generations. But basically, what I'm saying is, you know, a committee of players who love football, who love their team, and would love to see that team succeed. I've always thought, you know, if I was an owner of an NFL team, that would be the first thing I would do. It'd be like have a luncheon or something, you know, after the season's over. And then, you know, maybe 2 weeks later, and then up until the draft, have like a weekly or monthly or however, you know, bi-weekly.
That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly and be like, hey, what do you guys think? You know, I don't know about shipping them all to the combine, but, you know, having them come in and help you review combine, you know, having you know, when you go out, when you send your people out to do their in college day, whatever that is, they go and they watch them.
College game day.
Yeah. You know, go out there and watch them, you know, throw passes. Obviously, you got tape of it, show these guys, you know, and say, hey, we want y'all's opinion. What do you think? Where do you think we should be? What do you think we need? So.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. You said player by committee. I say like a position coach bringing in a guy who played. I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand why these teams don't do this, and I think they'd be better off in Longham if they at least try it and see how the outcome would be. So, I mean, you get a lot of guys that are probably like, oh, hell yeah, I'll come up there and just tell you about who I think about it. You know, just let you know what's going on. Just simple, plain and simple.
All right, let's get the rest of this guy. So, Titans got whooped by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sorry, Vaughn. Your Dolphins got whooped by the Raiders, or the Raiders got whooped by the Dolphins.
Well, they didn't get whooped that bad. They hung in there for a little bit. I mean, you had a backup quarterback going against those guys, so they hung in there the best they could, being who they are. I mean, I like the way Antonio Pierce is guiding the team. They do look like a whole different team now compared to the way they were with McDaniels. But you know, I don't know if they're going to keep him or not. But they hung in there the best they could for being who they are.
Well, the Commanders did not hang in there. 31-19. New York Giants 31. Washington Commanders 19. They did not hang in whatsoever.
30. You lost the Washington Commanders should be ashamed of themselves.
Y'all lost to Danny DeVito.
The Danny DeVito. Is that his like granddaddy or something?
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm
granddaddy.
Are we gonna see
you got
Jimmy
the stats
John?
On that guy?
Huh?
Do you have the stats for that? I can't remember what they were. Did you get the stats?
No, I did not get the stats.
Oh man, I think it was like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop. Here it is, right here. Let's look.
May need to draft him in fantasy.
Look, Danny DeVito, grandson, 18 for 26, 246 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Damn.
The Washington Commanders should be. Then Barkley had 14 rushes for 83 yards. I bet you that helped him out. And the doggone Washington, I don't know what to say about the Redskins. I mean, I got a feeling that Rivera is going to retire at the end of the season, and then the offensive coordinator, who was with Kansas City for a long time, is going to be the head coach. Uh, what's
You
his
like
name?
Rivera as a head coach of the Bears?
I think Rivera wants to be done.
Oh, you think so?
I think he's done. He's looking like. I mean, he always had that stern look on him, but I think his health and everything with him had that cancer situation a couple of years ago, and he's been coach for a long time. And even before he was head coach at Carolina Panthers, he was a position coach for 10, 12 years. I believe he's pushing 60. So, and along with his health, I think maybe he wants to sit in the booth or something because I think his time is up.
Mm.
His time is up. He don't have any energy. He doesn't have any pizzazz or anything like that. So, I think it was planned at the beginning of the season. That's why. What is the coordinator name? He was a running back for the San Diego Chargers for a long time. He was with the Kansas City Chiefs,
The
offensive
guy that,
coordinator.
yeah, but now he's in
Bieniemy,
Washington.
Bieniemy,
Bieniemy,
Bieniemy.
he's in Washington. Everybody thought he should already be a head coach.
Yeah, I think the plan
Yeah,
before
he
he
should
even
already
got
been,
there, or the reason that he got there, is that Rivera's going to coach one more year
and then
and
let him
then
take over.
retire, and then they will promote him to head coach. That's what I think it is. And I feel that Bieniemy will probably start pumping the system and doing what he has to do, and probably going to replicate the best he can on the success that he had in Kansas City.
49ers 27, Buccaneers 14. The
That doggone
Bills,
Purdy.
yeah, it's just
Come
Mr.
on, man. Where did
Irrelevant.
this guy come from, man? I'm sure
Mr.
everybody,
Irrelevant.
all the draft boards and everything from Mr. Reddit, like, how did we miss that? And I bet
Yeah.
you some retired quarterbacks, just like you said, if it was in the committee, like, hey, I like this guy. I mean, you can take him maybe not the first round, second round, it could be a third round, let alone Mr. Relevant
Yep. Last.
and last guy. And he's going to sign for a lot of money.
Oh yeah, he's about to get paid.
He's about to get paid. I think, I don't know. You think it's going to be this year or next year? They got to do it this year.
I think it's going to depend on how far
They
the
go in the
49ers
playoffs.
go. But
Yeah.
if they get into they're most likely going to the playoffs. It's how deep they go into the playoffs. I would not be surprised if Purdy gets a massive contract.
I don't think they're going to give him a max because of his draft position.
Well, I don't think they're going to. I think if they're smart with Purdy, and this is just my opinion, if I was an owner or a GM, I wouldn't do one of these massive long-term contracts. I would most likely do, a three, and I don't know what the requirements are for contracts, but I
Let me
would
tell you this
probably
before
do.
you go. He's a low round draft pick. He probably has a 3-year deal right now. So he's ending his second year. So, all right, go.
Yeah, I think they give him. I don't think he's going to be that unless he wins the Super Bowl. He's not going to be the highest paid quarterback in the
Oh, no,
NFL.
no, no. He's not going to be the highest.
But I think they're gonna, and I said this over a year ago when we were when we were doing it before. You look at Zeke, and Zeke was, I think his first 2 years, he was the number one running back in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I don't understand if you don't want Zeke to hold out, knowing that he's busted his ass for you. I do not understand why Jerry or anybody in that organization says, you know what, you were the number one running back in the NFL. We didn't win a Super Bowl, and that's fine. We are the most valuable team in the NFL. Due to that, I'm going to bonus you out and make you the highest paid running back in the NFL. Just for that year. Then, of course, you do it again the second year. You go and you bonus him out and say, look, you were the number one NFL. You were the rushing leader this year. I'm going to pay you that way. I don't think Zeke Elliott holds out like he held out if the Cowboys organization would have bonused him out.
Well, what I remember about the situation was that that he still had 2 years on his deal.
Yep.
So it's very, very
He wanted a deal
unusual.
before Dak, and Dak should have gotten a deal before Zeke got.
Yeah, but Dak was a low round draft pick, and he only had 3 years. And he's a first round draft pick, and he had like 4 years with the option of 5. He was
Right.
on his third year. He had 2 years to go.
Right.
So it's highly unusual for teams to pay whoever it is when they have 2 years to go. They'll do it like the year after when you got 1 year to go, but not 2 years. So I think that the Cowboys jumped the gun with it. That's where I don't think he should have got paid that year.
I'd have
I would
locked him
have
out.
I would have let him. Hey, if you want to
Yep.
sit out, you want to sit out. We'll deal with what we gotta have. And
Yep.
if
I'd have
you
locked
hear
him
around
out.
there next year, then so be it. Or trade him or got a first round pick for him or something. I wouldn't have paid him.
Well,
If it was the fourth year with the option, I would have, but not the third year when you have 2.
no, and I agree. So, but I'm basically showing both sides of it. I would have locked him out of the NFL for what he did. Because I think you and I talked about it, and I asked you how that works, and you told him, well, if he's under contract, then he would basically have to do this, and then he would have to sit out a year, and that's how he would do it. So I think when I did the math, he would have been locked out for 2 years. But to flip the coin and be on Zeke's side, if I'm the number one running back in the NFL, especially 2 years in a row. So let's say the first year you don't bonus me out. The second year that I do it, come on, give me a massive bonus for doing it 2 years in a row. But that's just an opinion that means absolutely
Nah,
nothing.
not when you have 2 years in that deal right there. I mean, and plus we're talking about running back position. Running back's a little different. They're definitely being devalued these
They
days.
are now.
And look at Aaron Jones. They paid him, and he had 2 or 3 good years. He got what he wanted, and he hasn't been the same since.
Todd Gurley.
Zeke did the right thing for Zeke, and he got paid. But I think he had like a year and a half of good years after that. Then he slowly started to decline. But
Todd Gurley.
yeah, Gurley,
Same thing.
yeah.
I
So
mean, you got these
that's probably
guys.
why I did that stuff. But the
Oh yeah. Now
quarterback position is totally different, and going
it's
back to the
longevity.
longevity.
They
And
have
plus,
longevity.
when it comes to Purdy's deal, I think they probably gonna like do an extension because he has 1 year left. Extension probably another 3 year 150,
Hmm?
something like that, or
Pretty good.
3 year 120. And for him, he's playing basically free
Yeah.
right now, being Mr. Relevant.
He's
I'm
probably got a
guessing that
minimum.
I'm guessing that he has 3 year 1.5 million or something like that. Let's look that up.
Yeah, I'm dying actually.
You go ahead. I'm gonna let you do it. I bet you. I think I'm saying 3 year 1.5 or something. That's what I'm guessing.
Purdy is arguably the NFL's best value at $870,000 for 2023.
So he probably 870 for 2023. It's probably 750 the year before that.
He
So
signed
maybe
he signed a 4-year deal for $3.7 million.
3.7. So at the end of this year, this is his second year. The third year, he got 1 more year to do it. They're probably going to go on and do it anyways for this guy.
They need, yeah.
They need to. They need to. So I see it going to put an extension on it. He got what? 4 year what?
3.7.
3.7. So extension at another 3 years for 150. Spread it out. That's a good deal for them. It's better than paying 250, 200, 300 million for these next quarterbacks that's going to be coming through. So you have this guy right here. If he lasts, we're going to have another 2 good years out of him. If we don't, we didn't pay a lot of money. On to the next guy.
Yep. All right, so we'll go to the next game. A very highly paid quarterback, Buffalo Bills, 32-6 over the Jets.
This the gunslinger, the new Brett Favre of the NFL.
Yeah.
So
I think, which by the way, they're talking about him coming back. I'll be interested to see if that happens.
No.
We both took Seattle. I only remember because we both took Seattle, but the Rams beat Seattle 17-16, so that was a close game.
Yeah, very, very surprised with that. They're definitely not getting getting anything out of the quarterback position in Seattle. So they drafted the first round guy, so expected them to get rid of Mr. Smith at the end of this year.
Oh,
Even though he
Gino.
had a Pro Bowl caliber year last year, so they're definitely going to move on from that.
Broncos Vikings. I told Bronco fans get excited because that's pretty crazy. 21-20.
Yeah, that was a very very good game, especially with that touchdown catch at the end. I was surprised
Yep.
on the coverage right there. The guy was sitting right there, and he just didn't have the right position. But it looks like the Broncos are gelling. It looks
Yep.
like they're gelling to it. I mean, expect to do magical things, and Sean Payton is a good coach, but you can't expect them to do it all in one. So, but now they look like they're playing like a team. The defense has been playing pretty good, so Russell Wilson's kind of smiling out there now. He have a grumpy face for the whole year and a half, but I don't know. We have to see. It's definitely going to depend on whether or not the Broncos can beat the Chargers and Kansas City in the next couple of weeks to see if they'll be playoff caliber.
And then I know you took the Chiefs on Monday Night Football.
I took the doggone Chiefs. Now, what you expect? The Chiefs are good. It's for the Super Bowl
But I took the
favorites.
Eagles with the assumption that they wanted. Now, if they both go to the Super Bowl, I might not pick the Eagles again. But I think they wanted their Monday night revenge for that Sunday night Super Bowl loss.
Well, they definitely got their revenge. I mean, Hurts, both quarterbacks were playing very mediocre for the first half of the game, on to the middle third quarter, but they start pumping at the end. And Mahomes and company couldn't get the ball going and doing things they do and score those touchdowns. This might be the season where the Kansas City Chiefs have scored the lowest amount of points because they're definitely feeling it since the offense coordinator Bieniemy going to the Washington Redskins, the Commanders.
Hey, you
But
said it earlier. I mean, come on. We grew up.
I know
I
it's hard
grew
not to
up.
say it. It's hard
Well,
not to
not
say
just
it.
that, but I grew up. I had a friend who was a huge Washington fan, and it was nonstop for him. I mean, I remember always wearing. I think that thing probably had to have smelled horrible, or his mom washed it every day. But had a jersey, so we apologize if we say it. But remember, we grew up
Yeah,
listening. That they're the Redskins, but yes, the Commanders.
the Commanders. It's going to take a little time, folks. No offense, no
Yeah,
offense. But the Kansas City definitely going to feel that punch in the gut from losing that guy. And this is a game that they did. And Hurts showed up at the end. He's been having a very mediocre year after signing that big deal,
yeah,
but he's been able to win some games. So I guess it doesn't even
yeah.
matter about the stats as long as you win. And
Nine
he
and
definitely
one.
pulled that out with 2 rushing touchdowns in the that game right there.
Yep.
Definitely good. So
I mean, look at the Broncos wins. I mean, Russell Wilson's really not that great. I have him in my fantasy football, but I mean, they're just
as
he's
long as you
just
win,
skimming back and wins.
as long like the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though they lost to Cleveland Browns last week, they were winning 3 or 4 games by
Yep.
a touchdown, 1 point. Hey, a win's a win. Like you said, you're not going to remember who they beat. You're going to look at wins and losses. You're not going to remember the score, whether it was 17-16
Nobody
or
cares.
30-80.
Nobody
You're not
cares.
going to remember that.
All we
So
want's a
it's all
W.
on the wins.
Yep. All right, so let's do our picks. I've already done all mine. I'm actually going to fill them out this time, so I know exactly.
Oh, you're going to fill them out?
Yeah, I got yours right here. I've already filled mine out.
All right.
So we have Green Bay at Detroit. I took Detroit.
Yeah, I picked Detroit. Detroit is going to go out and do what they do. They're probably going to fizzle a little bit in the first half because they played a nice game against the Bears and they're going to be a little tired. But I don't think the Packers have the fuel to sustain so they can beat Detroit Lions, especially in Detroit.
Yeah. Washington at Dallas. I took Dallas, of course.
Yeah, Dallas, of course. They spread 12.5, so it's probably I say people are going to stop watching the game probably by the end of the third quarter, and the people in the stadium are going to be walking out, and the parking lots are going to be half empty by the 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's yeah. San Francisco at Seattle. I don't care. I took San Francisco.
I'll take San Francisco too. I look for Seattle to rebound from what they did last week and expect them to have a very good output on offense. I say this is going to be a close one. So, but San Francisco is probably going to come out on top most likely.
New Orleans at Atlanta. I did take Atlanta. They get the running back. So
I got New Orleans for this. I got New Orleans for this. 'Cause I think they're going to come out and just go on and just do what they need to do. That spread is 1 point, so that's basically zero.
yeah.
So I think the quarterback Carr is going to go out there. I think they have a bye this last week. They're a little banged up a little bit, so they're going to go out there and be re-energized and go out there and just beat the Falcons.
All right. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. With Joe Burrow out, I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I take Pittsburgh too, and I think the offensive system is going to wake up a little bit more than it has been, especially with the firing of Canada. So I bet they're going to probably air the ball out a little bit more because they were usually doing a one-dimensional running type team, but now they're going to open it up. And so I say Pittsburgh are going to clobber the Browns.
Okay. Carolina at Tennessee.
Two bad teams.
Tennessee.
I'll take Tennessee because of Derrick Henry. And they got that, what's the guy's name? Levis as starting quarterback and have the other guy as second string. So they're going to keep on. They want him to be the starting quarterback, so we're just going to see how that's going to go. But I think they're going to ride on the heels of Derrick Henry, and they're going to come out.
We have Tampa Bay at Indianapolis. I took Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tampa Bay because Indianapolis is going on the second string quarterback, and they're just not looking pretty good right now. Just look like they holding out to get a high draft pick. Tampa Bay is still trying to hold on to the Super Bowl that they have a couple of years ago, but they got to soon realize after this season that they need to start rebuilding.
Yeah. New England at the New York Football Giants. I took
New York Football Giants. Hey, I can't help it. After Danny DeVito's grandson went out there and threw the 3 touchdowns and 240-something yards, I'm picking the Giants over the Patriots.
I think they woke up.
Yeah, even though I can't stand the Patriots.
Jacksonville at Houston. I took Houston. I mean, C.J. Stroud is just, especially against Jacksonville, C.J. Stroud's just on fire.
You know what? I would normally pick Jacksonville because of who they are with Jesus Christ Superstar at the quarterback because they like to air it out. But because of those offensive woes they've been having the last couple of weeks, I don't think they'll be able to pull it out against a very good Houston Texans team. And we're talking about C.J. Stroud doing the things he needs to do, but you got to look at the defense they have. The defense has been playing really, really good for the Texans, and the head coach is a defensive guy. I played against the guy. He's my year. So I would expect him to have a good defensive team, which the Texans doing right now.
Cleveland at Denver with quarterback being out, where they stand and what Denver's doing. I chose Denver.
I'll take Denver, dude, because now that they have Sean Payton, a smart coach, and now that this guy's on film, they'll be able to analyze a little bit more, so expect him not to have the offensive output that he had the week prior.
Yeah. L.A. Rams at Arizona. I mean, I took the Rams. To me, that's a coin toss game.
I'll take Arizona because Murray actually is looking pretty good, much better than I thought he would, the midget, but I would expect them, he put out probably a 3-touchdown performance against the LA Rams because, they're very mediocre right now. And I'm sure they're trying to get that quarterback out of there so they can go on and do what they need to do. But I take the Cardinals on that one.
Kansas City, Vegas. I took Kansas City. I think that
Kansas
was
City.
Obvious.
Yeah. I think Kansas, they're going to... I think they'll beat them by a touchdown or a field goal. So they're going to be looking to come back. I think
they're going to whoop them.
Yeah, they're going to be looking to come back, especially after their loss against Philly. They can't afford to be losing 2 games in a row.
Yeah. Buffalo at Philadelphia.
Oh.
Yeah, that's going to be
that's going to be a good one. I'm going to tune into that one, definitely. So... that's going to be a good one to see what Gunslinger going to do, just throwing a ball in there, making stupid mistakes. But those wide receivers. Okay, I'll take the Bills with that one. So we'll
Ooh.
see what the quarterback does with those wide receivers out there, and Davis and uh, what's the star wide receiver name for Bills right now? His brother played for the Cowboys, cornerback.
Starts with an S.
Diggs.
Yeah. Oh,
I,
Diggs.
I
Stephon
expect,
Diggs.
yeah, I expect Diggs to have a very, very good game against the Philadelphia Eagles corner. So we'll see. We'll definitely see.
Baltimore at the Chargers. I took Baltimore.
I'll take Baltimore too. I expect them to beat up on the Chargers because Chargers just not looking good right now. Have been totally unimpressive to me. So Lamar Jackson's gonna, and they got a pretty good running back right now from Edwards, so they can take some of the rushing yards off of Lamar Jackson. I'm sure he appreciates it too.
Yeah. Dear NFL, please do not put the Chicago Bears on primetime when they're getting their asses whooped again. So
Yes,
Monday
yeah,
Night
they need to quit that.
Football, Chicago Bears, at Minnesota.
You know what? I do hope the Bears win, but I'm digging this aerospace engineer dude, man.
Yeah.
I like this guy, Dobbs.
It was a luck of the draw. I think it was a luck of the draw for Denver to win against Minnesota. I think they got
Yeah,
lucky. But I obviously I'm gonna take the Bears. I'm just gonna commit suicide on that one. I'm just gonna nosedive into it. But
nah, I'm
I
not
mean, I do
nosediving.
believe that Minnesota is gonna, you know,
No nose diving because you don't know what's out there when you do nose dive. No, so but I'm looking at it as two teams that I don't have any favorites. And as much as I hate to say this, I'm looking at Minnesota to beat Chicago Bears. Ugh, ugh.
yeah,
Man, that was hard to say, but I
it's
just gotta look
painful.
at it truthfully. Just gotta look at it
Yeah,
truthfully.
it's painful.
That's painful to say. I'm
It
telling
is,
you, but
but
I'm looking at it realistically. You gotta keep it real. You gotta keep it
yeah.
real.
All right, man. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We hope that you have a great one. Be safe. If you're traveling, drive safe. Don't drive like we drive. Flozell, appreciate it, man. We will see you guys next week. What you
All
got?
right. See y'all next week. Happy Thanksgiving.